qalu. Now, I have mentioned multiple times, and please listen this point again. When any verb from the qala family comes, what I mean by qala family is qala, which is the madi, yakulu is mudare, and then kul as amr. When any member from this qala derivatives comes, there's definitely a statement after that, right? That statement is called, you can call it simply maf'ul bihi, or simply maf'ul, or you can call it makulul qawl, which means simply statement. Because if you say qalu, they said, the question is, what did they say? And we know that the answer of what, why, when, where, how, all of these informations are called maf'ul. So qalu, in this qalu is fail madi, it is number 3, and it has built-in file, and that file is, let me see why my pen is not okay. So this qalu is fail madi, it has a built-in file that is hum. So qalu is fail and file. Okay, then subhanaka. Now please, before I go to subhanaka, qalu, they said, subhanaka la ilma lana illa ma 'allamtana innaka antal alimul hakim. So basically you can say that in a bigger scheme of picture, if we go in a bigger scheme, okay, so this qalu is fail and file, and this rest of the whole thing, subhanaka la ilma lana, this whole thing is the maf'ul, or you can say makulul qawl. So this qalu is fail and file, fail plus file, and this is the maf'ul bucket. Now, what they said is, they said 3 things. So now, inshallah, we analyze that what we have in the maf'ul bucket, we can analyze them bit by bit. So they said subhanaka. Let's deal with subhanaka first. Now, if you recall, when we did analysis of the text of Salah, we discussed this subhanaka. Why? Because we say subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarakasmuka. So subhanaka was the first word which we analyzed. Now let me remind you, if you have not, if you can't recall that. So as you can see that subhana, it is in nasab form. It's a ism in nasab status, and ka is a attached pronoun. Subhanaka. Now when pronoun is attached with the ism, we say that this pronoun and ism together, they are mudaf and mudaf ilay. Now we discussed, and this is always the case. Please listen this point very carefully. Whenever you have this subhanaka, the grammarians, they say that there's an implied verb, there's an implied fail, and that fail is usabbihu for the single, or nusabbihu. Basically, sabbaha is fail madi, which means he declares tasbih. Yusabbihu is mudare. Okay, so sabbaha and yusabbihu, and then sabbih is the amr form. Okay, now they say that actually there is an implied verb here, and that implied verb is usabbihu, I declare tasbih, or nusabbihu, we declare tasbih. Okay, now nusabbihu is the fail, and it has built-in file nahnu. That is fail and file. And this subhanaka, which is a mudaf ilayh phrase, this phrase is the maf'ul for that implied fail. That is how they explain the nasab of subhana, because subhana is in nasab status, number 1, and number 2, subhanaka is just a mudaf ilayh phrase. So what is the role of this phrase? That is how they explain. So basically, subhanaka, before subhanaka, there is a verb usabbihu or nusabbihu, which has a built-in file ana or nahnu, and then this subhanaka is the maf'ul for that fail. That was about subhanaka. Right now, la ilma lana illa ma'allamtana. Now let's deal with this second part of their statement. Okay, so la, now we know that la comes for negation. Okay, but please, I'm repeating this point again, always see that after la, if you have ism and that ism is light, light means there's no tanween or there's no noon, it's not ilman. Okay, so it is without noon sound, which is mean it is light. Secondly, it is in nasab status. So after la, please pay attention, after la, if you have ism which is in nasab status and that is light, light means there's no tanween or there's no noon in the spellings. Okay, it is not ilman. So now it means that this law will be called law of categorical denial, or we say la nafi jins. Nafi mean negation and jins mean category. So this law is called la nafi jins. Now just imagine this law, after this law, if this word was ilmun, then this law was still for negation, but then it would not be law of categorical denial. So remember this point, whenever you see law, always see after the law, what is the situation of ism. So now this law will be called law of categorical denial, ilma. So this law of categorical denial, it behaves like inna family. What does that mean? That it has a ism which comes after it, and it has a khabar as well, like inna family. So this law will be called law of categorical denial. Ilma will be called ism of law. And then lana, lana is a jar majroor fragment. Okay, and illa, what is illa? We have learned that illa is called harf istisna. Harf istisna, harf for exception. Okay, and what comes after illa is called mustasna, which means exception itself. Okay, now this illa will be called what? Harf istisna, and ma allamtana, this whole thing will be called mustasna, which means exception. Now in the exception bucket, you have ma and allamtana. Please listen this point very carefully. You know, when you see this ma, most of the time you should think of three types of ma. One is ma of negation. Now if you say this ma is ma of negation, that does not seem to be the case, because ma allamtana, which you have not taught us, so that does not make sense. Second is called ma of ism mausul, and third is called ma of masdar. Inshallah, I will explain when in our discussion ma of masdar comes. I will explain about that. For now, this ma is ma of ism mausul, and let me remind all of you, ism mausul. What are ism mausul? Ma and man, these two, these are called general, and allazi family, they are called specific. So these are the two buckets of ism mausul. Allazi family is called ism mausul khas. Khas means specific. And ma and man, these two words, ma and man, they are called ism mausul am. Am mean general. So this ma mean what or whatever, depending on the context. So la ilma lana, there is no knowledge for us, illa except ma, what, allamtana. So ma is ism mausul, allamtana is the sila. Mausul and sila together. In which bucket? In the bucket of mustasna. Mustasna mean exception. Okay, so one more time, la is law of categorical denial, ilma is the ism of la, lana is a jar majroor fragment, but because there is no khabar given, So this lana will be called khabar, shibul jumla khabar. Okay. And illa ma allamtana, that is the harf istasna and exception. Right. Now let's translate this one. And secondly, in the bucket of exception, what we have ism mausul and sila. In the sila bucket, allam, allamta, allamta, allama, yu'allimu. Allama is fail madi, yu'allimu is mudare. So allama, when you make the whole chart for allama, allamta. Allamta is at number 7. What you have taught. Okay, this ta with the fatha, what you have taught. So in the sila bucket, allamta is fail. It has built-in file. Anta and na is the attached pronoun, and this na will be called maf'ul. Why? Because whenever pronoun is attached with the fail, pronoun is called maf'ul. So ma is a mausul, allamtana is the sila, mausul and sila together, they are playing the role of mustasna. And now listen this point very carefully. The i'rab or status of mustasna is nasab, right? And what we have learned is ism mausul and sila, when they perform some role, what we call fi mahalli. So we'll say that this ma allamtana is fi mahalli nasab mustasna, right? So this is about this second part of the statement. Okay, now I take a pause. Now inshallah we see the last part of the statement. Innaka antal azizul hakim. Now this last part is very simple. You can all inshallah do this. Inna, we know that inna is a specific family. So inna will be called, I have given you two terms. You can call it harf nasab or you can call it harf mushabbah bil fail. So inna will be called harf nasab or mushabbah bil fail. After inna, you necessarily have two things. Ism of inna, which comes immediately after inna. So this ka will be called ism of inna. Anta, you remember, and let me remind you, please understand these points very carefully. Whenever you see independent pronoun, whenever, it is a sign that a jumla ismiya has started and this pronoun will become mubtada, which means that this anta will become mubtada. Al-alimu, al-hakimu. We have learned in our level 1 course, when Allah's names or when Allah's sifat, they come one after the other, we don't make them mawsuf sifa. Rather, we make them al-alimu, khabar number 1, al-hakimu, khabar number 2. Which means that antal alimul hakim is a complete sentence, right? And this complete sentence is the khabar of inna, right? So inna, harf nasab, ka, ism of inna, antal alimul hakim is the khabar of inna. Let's translate this one. Innaka, indeed you, anta, anta again means you, and this is telling you it's a very emphatic statement. Why? As you can see as a student of language, that you is repeated twice, number 1, and number 2, inna is added as well. So in this statement, there's double emphasis. Number 1, inna is putting emphasis, and number 2, when you have this independent pronoun which makes the complete jumla as the khabar, it's another sign of emphasis. So innaka, indeed you, comma, anta, you, al-alim, all knowing, al-hakim, and all wise. Indeed you are all knowing and all wise. Qalu, they said. What did they say? Subhanaka, glory be to you. La ilma lana, there is no knowledge whatsoever for us. La ilma, no knowledge whatsoever. Lana, for us. Illa, except. Ma allamtana, what you have taught us. Innaka, indeed you are. Antal alimul hakim, you are all knowing and all wise. So let's inshallah begin ayah number 33. So this was the reply of the angels. Okay, now qala, now Allah is saying to Adam alayhi salam. So qala, he said. So this qala will be once again fail and file. Okay, qala will be fail and file. Ya Adamu, Ya Adamu. We have learned about this word Ya. Ya will be called harfun nida and Adamu will be called munada. Harfun nida is Ya and Adamu is the munada. Okay, this is all you need to know about this part. Okay, so qala, once again, qala is fail and file. So this qala is fail plus file. And once again, I said before, after qala, you have a statement. What is the statement? Ya Adamu ambihum bi asma'ihim. So in a bigger scheme of picture, this whole thing is the maf'ul. Or you can use the word makulul qaul. Makul al qaul. And the ma on this one. Makulul qaul. Okay, statement. Now, Ya Adamu, harfun nida and munada. Ambi, ambi, ambi is fail amr. It came in the previous ayah, inshallah, after this lesson. If you watch ayah number 31, when Allah presented those things to angels, this word was there as well. So ambi, fail amr, it has built in file, and that file is anta. Please pay attention. When Allah asked to angel, the word was ambi'u. Why? Because angels were plural. Ambi'u was also fail amr, but that was for plural. So built-in file was antum. Now because Allah is talking to Adam alayhi salam, so ambi, fail amr, it has a built-in file, and that file is anta. And whom is the attached pronoun? And we know the principle which never change, no exception. Whenever pronoun is attached with the fail, pronoun is always called maf'ul. So ambi, fail and file, whom is the maf'ul. Basically, ambi whom is a complete sentence on its own. Okay. Qala, he said, Ya Adamu, O Adam, ambi whom, tell them, you tell them. Okay, you tell them. Now look at this one. You tell them what? Bi asma'ihim. So this ba is jar and asma'i is majroor, but him is also attached. So asma'ihim is itself a mudaf and mudaf ilay. So ba jar, please pay attention. This is very common in the Quran. Let me repeat this point. After preposition in the majroor bucket, instead of having one word, you have a mudaf ilay. Okay, so that is the case here. Ba is the jar part, asma'ihim, mudaf ilay, together in the bucket of majroor. So ba bi asma'ihim, you can translate, obviously we translate ba as to or with. You can translate depending on the context, because obviously if we say that with, it would not make much sense. So qala, he said, Ya Adamu, O Adam, ambihum, you tell them what? Bi asma'ihim, their names. You see, I did not translate ba at all. Why? Because you don't need it, because if you translate literally, it won't make much sense. Now let me say one last point here. You notice that I said that qala, he said what? Ya Adamu, O Adam, ambihum. So ambi, tell to who? Whom. So whom is a maf'ul. Now please pay attention. When you command someone to tell such and such, is it not the case that you need two things? That tell what and tell to who. So the who part is whom, which was maf'ul. Bi asma'ihim. Now it's a jar majroor fragment, and we know that this jar majroor fragment will be called muta'alliq bil fail. Which fail? This ambe. But at the same time, and please pay attention to this point, At the same time, like I said, that if you translate, you see that asma is giving you the information of what, isn't it? What? Okay. So you can say, please pay attention. You can say it is fi mahalli nasab. This whole thing, bi asma'ihim, it's a jar majroor. It's fi mahalli nasab. Why? Why? Because it is playing the role of maf'ul. So whom is maf'ul number one, because whom is telling you who you want to tell, and this part is telling you what you want to tell. The reason we said fi mahalli nasab, because it is not actually nasab, and this is the whole purpose of using fi mahalli. We use this term fi mahalli when something is not actually that. Okay, so bi asma'ihim, if you call this one muta'alliq bil fail, that will also be correct. There's no problem in that. But if you want to go by this thought process, that you can call this one fi mahalli nasab maf'ul, right? No. So qala is the fail and file. Ya Adamu ambihum bi asma'ihim is the maf'ul or makulul qawl. So fail, file, and makulul qawl together is one sentence. In the makulul qawl bucket, you have this sentence which we have analyzed already. Falamma, this fa, we know that fa can be atifa, fa can be istinafiya. Now, if you are reading in a sequence, you'll feel that this fa is actually starting a new statement. Okay, so falamma, fa, you can say fa is istinafiya. Lamma, please pay attention. Lamma, please pay attention. Lamma is one of huruf shart. Lamma is also from the conditional particle, which means that lamma is starting a conditional sentence in which lamma will be called adatu shart. And this adatu shart is also, because after this adatu shart, there is fail madi. Okay, lamma, please listen this point very carefully. Lamma can make the next verb majzoom, but that if that verb is fail madi, then it cannot do that. Okay, so lamma, this lamma will be called adatu shart. After this, you will have two statements, shart and jawabu shart. Let's see what they are. So amba'a, the same word ambi, this was fail amar, amba'a. So this amba'a is fail madi and number one in the madi chart. I have already shared in the group that link on which you can go and you can see all the different forms of every fail. Please, I'm requesting and I am encouraging all of you with regard to fail. That is a very useful source. Always, when you are doing this ayah on your own, always go back to that source to see different forms of this verb. Okay, so amba'a. So this amba is fail madi. It is number one in the madi chart. So amba'a, it has a built-in file, and that file is huwa. So amba'a, fail and file. Whom, if amba is fail, it means that this whom is a attached pronoun, and this whom will be called maf'ul. You may be thinking that why this whom is not clearly attached. This is the construction of the word, because by and large, as you can see, him, whom, by and large, you see that attached pronoun comes as attached, because sometimes because of the construction and the writing of the verb, you see this one written separately, but you can identify that one with translation. Falamma, now lamma mean when, that when something happened. Okay, so falamma, when amba'a, he informed. Okay, he mean Adam, amba, he informed whom, to them, to who, to the angels. Why? Because first when Allah said to Adam, oh Adam, now you tell them what name of those objects. Okay, So ambahum, when he informed them. Okay, he informed them what? Bi asma'ihim, same thing. Bi asma'ihim is a jar and majroor, and this jar and majroor in the majroor bucket again mudaf ilay. So this amba is fail and file, hum is maf'ul, and this bi asma'ihim is the muta'alliq bil fail, or you can call this one fi mahalli nasab maf'ul. Why? Because this whole thing is giving the information of what? So when he informed them their names. Whose name? Asma'ihim, names of those objects. So falamma amba asma'ihim, when he informed them of their names. So this lamma adatu shart, and this is the shart part, that when he informed them of their names, then what happened? Qala, then Allah said. Okay, so qala, he said. So this whole thing is the jawabu shart part. Clear? Now in the jawabu shart part, let's look at the whole thing bit by bit. So once again, qala is fail and file. File is huwa. So qala has two things. Qala is fail, madi. It has a built-in file that is huwa. Once again, after that you have a statement, and this whole thing is the statement, right? And now we will see that in the statement, now we can analyze the sentence in the statement, but in a bigger scheme of picture, these are the labels. Qala is fail and file, and rest of the whole thing is the maf'ul or makulul qawl. Now let's deal with the inside sentence of maf'ulul qawl. So alam, so this harf istifham, harfu istifham, interrogation. Okay, lam, what is lam? Please pay attention. Lam is from those words which make mudare majzoom. Please recall your level 1. Mudare sometimes becomes mansoob, and there's a list of words which make mudare mansoob, and there's a list of words which make mudare majzoom. So lam is one of those words which make mudare majzoom. Okay, now this word akul, it will come in the Quran quite often. Let me tell you about this word akul. Now please pay attention. You know, if you make the chart for yakulu, which is the mudare. So yakulu, yakulani, yakuluna, takulu, takulani, yakulna, takulu, takulani, takuluna, takulina, takulani, takulna, and then akulu and nakulu. This is the whole mudare chart for yakulu. So number 13 is what? Akulu. Look at this one. Number 30 is what? Akulu. Akulu. Now, we know that when, because of this lam, what will happen? It will get sukoon here. Okay, now it will be akul. Right? Now look at this one. This vaw has already sukoon, and now this lam has got sukoon as well. Listen this point, please, very carefully. There is a rule in Arabic writing. You cannot have two letters of sukoon one after the other. If that happens, you have to remove the weak one. And what is the weak one? Huruf illat. Huruf illat. They are the weak one. So this vaw is actually removed because vaw is the weak one. And if you remove this vaw, what you left with? Akul. You see, akul. So basically it was akulu, and akul is the majzoom form of akulu, right? So akul, fail mudare, number 13. It has built-in file that is ana. Okay, lakum, jar majroor, mutaalliq, right? So qala, he said, alam akul lakum. Now, because of this it was interrogation, and because of lam, what is the job of lam? Please pay attention. Lam negate mudare and also makes it past tense. So, alam akul lakum, did I not say to you? Akul, I say. Okay, lakum, to you. This was the actual sentence. Akulu. This was actual sentence. Akulu lakum. I say to you. But now, because of and lam, did I not say to you? Clear? So this is the first part. So kala. Sorry, we are just doing the makulul qawl part. Okay, so this whole thing. So inside the makulul qawl, this is the first part. So alam akul lakum. So harf istifham. Lam is the word which make mudare majzoom. Akul is mudare majzoom. It has built-in file ana, and lakum is the jar majroor mutaalliq bil akul. So did I not tell you? Please pay attention. If you say to someone, did I not tell you? Is it not a legitimate question? Did you not tell me what? Which means that even though, please listen this point very carefully. This whole thing from alam all the way till end, this whole thing is the statement. Within the statement part, you get another statement. So alam akul lakum, did I not say to you? What? So now the statement is coming. Inni. So which means that, inshallah, we analyze this part now. So inni, inna plus ni. So inna will be called harf nasab or harf mushabba bil fail, and ni will be called ism of inna. And now you need the khabar of inna. And always remember, in the khabar bucket, there are three possibilities. One word bucket of khabar, or complete sentence khabar, and that sentence could be ismiya, could be failure. And lastly, shibul jumla khabar. And shibul jumla mean two things: jar majroor and special mudaf fragment. Remember this point. Okay, now inna harf nasab or harf mushabba bil fail. Ni is the ism of inna. Now a'lamu, it is fail mudare number 13. A'lamu, I know. So a'lamu, which means that in the khabar of inna, you have got a complete jumla failure. And what is that jumla failure? A'lamu, I know, fail. So a'lamu is a fail and file. So I know what? Ghaiba, unseen. As-samawati, you see, as-samawati is in jar status. And before as-samawati, there is no preposition, which means ghaiba and as-samawati are mudaf ilay. Right? Wal ardi. You see, this waw is connecting these two things, as-samawati and al-ardi, which means that, please listen to this point very carefully. Ghaiba is the mudaf. In the mudaf ilay bucket, as-samawati wal ardi. Why? Because of this waw, they are connected. And ghaib as-samawati wal ardi together is the maf'ul. For who? For a'lamu. Okay, so a'lamu is a fail and file. Ghaib as-samawati wal ard is the maf'ul. Fail, file, maf'ul together is become one jumla failure, and this jumla failure is the khabar of inna. This inna. One more time. This inna, harf nasab, ni is the ism of inna. A'lamu ghaiba samawati wal ard is the khabar of inna, and inside the khabar of inna, you got complete jumla failure. Right? And now this waw is connecting this part and this part, which means that when Allah said, Qala, he said, Alam akul lakum, did I not say to you? So did I not say to you what? Inni alam ghaiba samawati wal ard. One statement. And ma tubduna wa ma kuntum taktumun. So this part is also the continuation. So inni, okay. So ma, this ma is ism mawsool. Why? Because if you translate this ma as negation, it would not make sense. Ma tubduna, which you do not hide. Tubduna mean to expose, okay, or manifest, okay. Ma tubduna, what you manifest. And when you translate ma as what or whatever, this is the sign that this ma is maaf, is a mausul, okay. So this ma is a mausul. Tubduna is a complete fail mudare sentence, and this is the sila. So ma is a mausul, tubduna sila. But hang on a second, this va is connecting, and then ma kuntum taktumun. Again, ma is the sila, and then ma is a mausul, and kuntum taktumun is the sila. And kuntum taktumun is how? Kuntum fail nakis. It has built-in file antum, and then this taktumuna is the khabar of kuntum. Okay, so this complete kuntum taktumuna is the sila. For who? For this ma. Now, because this wow, because
Brother
this,
Imtiaz, sorry.
yeah.
There is a part missing in this.
So because this this one part was missing. This alamu part was missing in that page. So let's inshallah do it from here. So what I was saying is that inni alamu ghaiba samawati wal ard, one part. So so when Allah said that, Allah said, alam akul lakum, did I not say to you? Now say to you what? Two statements are there. Inni alamu ghaiba samawati wal ard, one statement, and wow, alamu ma tubduna wa ma kuntum taktumun, second statement, which means that this inni alamu ghaiba samawati wal ard and alamu ma tubduna wa ma kuntum taktumun, together, these are together, they are playing the role of maf'ul. For who? For this one, akullakum. Okay, this akullakum, this akulla, for this akulla, there are this sentence, inni alam ghaiba samawati wal ard and alam ma tubduna wa ma kuntum taktumun, they together are the maf'ul for this akul. Now wa alamu, once again, alamu fail mudare, number 13, built in file ana. Alamu, I know what? Ma tubduna, so ma is mausul and sila, and this ma kuntum taktumun also mausul and sila. So this mausul sila and this mausul sila together, they are the maf'ul for who? For alamu. Why? Because alamu is fail mudare, number 13, and it has a built-in file ana. Alamu, I know. The question is, I know what? Ma tubduna wa ma kuntum taktumun. What you expose and what you had been hiding. Kuntum taktumun. Remember this point. When this kana thing, it comes on fail mudare, you translate it as had been. Taktumuna is mudare, right? And this kuntum. So when kana family comes before mudare, we translate it had been. So wa alamu, and I know what? Ma tubduna, what you expose, wa ma kuntum taktumuna, and what you had been hiding. So this ma is a mausul, tubduna sila, one bucket. Again, this ma is a mausul and kuntum taktumuna is the sila. Inside kuntum taktumuna, kuntum fail nakis, antum is the ism of kuntum, and taktumuna is the khabar of kuntum. That is how all of this is built. And now let's go to the main picture again. So qala, fail and file. Okay, alam all the way till end is maf'ul. That is the bigger picture, right? Now in the maf'ul bucket, when you analyze that statement, so alam akullakum, did I not say to you? So this part, a harf istifham, lam Jazim, akul, fail mudare. It has built in file. Ana, lakum, mutaalliq, from inni. Please listen very carefully. From inni all the way till end. This is the maf'ul for who? For this akul. So he said, did I not say to you that indeed I know unseen of the skies and earth, and alamu, this alamu is missing here, and I know ma tubduna, what you all expose, wa ma kuntum taktumun, and what you had been hiding. And remember this point I said earlier as well, that this when kana family enters on fail mudare, you translate it as had been, okay, or sometime used to. So used to or had been, you have this translation when kana family enters on the mudare.